What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Shut the Front Door podcast. This is the inaugural episode, the first episode of our second season, so we're excited to be back into the studio.
So we got renewed.
Yeah. We're back again for the start of 2025, so Charlie, thank you for the like. Anyways, Scott, welcome back to the studio, and a lot of interesting stuff that we're going to be talking about today for 2025 and our expectations. So
the first expectation I have is for you to start this intro over.
Yeah.
Because you missed something.
What'd I miss?
You missed saying the Real Talk About Real Estate podcast.
Ah, man. Well, it's a industry standard or a podcast standard for myself here. So, anyways, yeah. What do we got?
I forgot to hit record on the audio. So.
There we go. Maybe we should start this over. Okay. Ready?
Hang on.
Nope. Technical difficulties, please hold. Okay. All right, let's start this over. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Shut the Front Door podcast, the Real Talk About Real Estate. This is our first episode of our second season. Is that good?
Much better. I like that.
Now that we're recording the audio. All right. It wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't have technical difficulties out of the gate. Anyway, so 2025 and managing the expectations and speculating on the market. You got some numbers in front of you that I can see. So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I guess we should talk about these numbers, shouldn't we?
That's, I think so.
So, we get lots of conversations about the market. We get that question all the time, right? What effect is the interest rates having? What about the election? We have a new president coming in and so on and so forth. Plus, it's 5 degrees outside today. So what does that mean to real estate?
Right? Are you asking me or for my opinion?
That's the question we get on. It's kind of a rhetorical question, but I guess that's the rhetorical question we're going to at least attempt to answer today.
Well, we'll give both of our opinions, and
Absolutely.
I think some of them would match. But
sure. So as we often preach, the market is the market. It's strong around here. It's a seller's market. Doesn't fluctuate nearly as much as people think it does.
No.
The biggest question we've gotten over the last year is clearly about interest rates and how has that affected anything. And the answer is not all that much. Right.
Yeah, I mean, only to the extent of people that reacted to it. So there are many people, I would say, not like 50-50, you would probably say maybe 30-70, whatever, but 30% of the people would, I'm putting my search on hold, which those that have are going to be finding themselves buying a more expensive house.
Every
regardless.
time.
Right.
Happens every time.
So it hasn't impacted the market as drastically as we would have thought for last year, but certainly, there's cautious optimism as far as if things return to the same levels of what the previous administration had, and they have a lot to do to get to that point. I don't know that they ever go back to where they once were before.
You're talking about interest rates.
Interest rates, specifically interest rates.
Yeah.
Even if you find yourself with that market, if that should happen, I don't know that it's going to be that big of a win for a buyer because every other buyer is going to jump in, and those that missed the boat the last time certainly won't miss it the second time, and it's going to be more demanding than you've ever seen.
Absolutely. And, you absolutely nailed it when you said that those who decided to put their search on hold are going to pay more for their house. To share a couple quick numbers, the overall volume of sales in Belmont County, these are Belmont County numbers, but they apply to the entire valley and probably most of the states of Ohio and West Virginia. In 2024, total volume of sales that was down 3.5%, a whopping 3.5%. Which, by the way, is not enough for any human being to even notice.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
You can't even feel it.
No.
But the interesting number is the average sale price in Belmont County was actually up 9%.
Right.
To $185,000 and change, which, by the way, is the all-time record for average sale price in Belmont County.
Sure. And if you look at even Belmont County, do you know what that would compare to as the national average? And before you answer that, Charlie, that's the goal. We want to be bigger than Joe Rogan.
I love it.
You got to come back, Charlie.
Joe, we're coming for you.
We're headhunting. But do you know the national average?
I don't know the national average.
Belmont County is roughly half of the national average, which means that we still remain one of the most affordable places to live in the country.
Just not as affordable as it was a couple years ago.
Right.
So given that number, and by the way, looking at the last 7 years, average sale price has gone up 6 out of the last 7. And and also sales volume has gone up 6 out of the last 7. And so we hit an all-time high of 185,000 and change. Compared to just 7 years ago, 2017, the average sale price in Belmont County was
Take a guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say 140,000.
Yeah, you're optimistic. It was 126,000. Wow. That's a $50,000 change in average sale price in 7 years.
Right.
So those of you out there waiting for the bubble to burst, I got some bad news.
Right, and we talk about this so readily often with interest rates. I've always said I'm about half the average of a normal person. Yeah, you and me both. But I've always said, I would go back and I would gladly pay. Absorb a 17% interest rate if I could buy a house at 1980 prices.
100%.
Right? So math is math. We just need to amortize whatever your interest rate and your purchase price, amortize that together, and here's your total amount paid after the end of 30 years, assuming you keep your payments on schedule every single month. Well, again, those that held out for a lower interest rate, you're going to be finding yourself buying a higher priced house. So the math still isn't going to math for you. Well, it's going to,
and there's an absolute certainty here, which is if you end up buying at a higher interest rate, you can always refinance when rates go down.
Correct.
You know what you can't do?
You can't go back and change the price.
You can't go back and buy it cheaper.
Right.
It
So
doesn't work.
We've preached that, and I hope these podcasts age well, but go back and we have a whole compendium of our first season of the Shut the Front Door podcast. Follow us on YouTube. It's all there. Everything that we dispense out here.
We were telling people at the beginning of 2023, if you wait to buy, you're going to pay more.
Remember that video that we did and we got blown up in the comments?
I do.
What was it? We did a reaction video to the top 5 comments, and one was, hey, the get rich quick scheme. Go back and, buy a house in 1980. Got you. Which was a snarky comment.
That's true.
What was your response?
My response was, well, talk to me in 2 years, and the get rich quick scheme is going to be go back and buy a house in 2025.
Well, in 2018, if you would have bought, you would have $50,000 in your pocket.
It's
right
true.
now.
That's exactly right.
If you would have bought 7 years ago, you would hold on average extra $50,000.
$50K in your pocket. And by the way, that's regardless of interest rate,
right?
Regardless of how long you finance for, regardless of if you paid cash. What that means is that the numbers go up, and they go up virtually every time. Interestingly, we always talk about how the market doesn't fluctuate as much as people think it does.
Sure.
What we see in the last 7 years worth of numbers is, as we predict, it just trucks right along with slight appreciation every year, with one exception, and that was 2021. 2021, we saw a huge uptick, 28% increase in sales volume. Interestingly, coming out of COVID.
Right.
Now, my first reaction when I hear a big jump like that is, well, COVID was COVID, and we must have been really down in 2020, and it's just a recovery, right? Mm-hmm. That's not true. 2020, we actually went up by 5%.
Sure.
So it wasn't a recovery. It was a further increase of almost 30% in that 1 year.
Right. Well, and COVID taught a lot of people that they can work from home. So I'm not surprised
Absolutely.
that 2021 is a huge jump, just for the fact that, people that were struggling with prices that were going up during COVID may have found that they can work from home, and they return to more affordable places to live amongst the Ohio Valley. So people that left, and I'm one of them. Yeah. I left and I went to Savannah. I moved from the Ohio Valley and came back. This is home.
Very sure.
Right. So a lot of people have taken the same journey in life that many others have. They leave and they come back.
Well, we see that a lot, especially it seems to be in the downtown Wheeling market, because you've got these beautiful Victorian homes that in other markets would be, $2 million or more. Yeah, you never know, and you could buy them here for $150,000. So, being that we're in a market that is still relatively affordable, as you said, half the price of the rest of the country, and we're an hour from Pittsburgh and 2 hours from Columbus, major airports, major industry, and anybody can work from anywhere these days. Like you said, we learned that in COVID. So, for the out of town buyer, it's definitely an attractive place, and we see that all the time. I notice whenever I list something with all that cool architecture, my phone rings off the hook from Chicago, and Louisiana, and LA, because of that exact factor. So that's definitely driving the market somewhat.
Yeah, we've sold several that have been in national syndicates, publications, from New York Times to what else?
Johnny made the cover of the New York Times, which is better than the page he usually makes in the New York Times, which is the police blog.
Well, yeah, the arrest re.st. What is it? The mugshots.
Mugshots Ohio Valley.
No, I love those because you're right. They are always they're so photogenic, and Wheeling is a byproduct of the Industrial Revolution.
Absolutely.
So we are one of the premier nation's examples of Victorian era architecture, not Victorian style. You know how many times I get people to say, "Oh yeah, I love Victorian style." I guess it's kind of whatever, but it's an era. It compromises like 6 different.
Are you
styles.
familiar with the word pedantic?
Yes,
that's what you are.
I know, but it's one of the you got the what do you call them, the grammar Nazis, like whatever. Oh, you missed your Oxford comma or this or that. No, when it comes down to architecture. So, anyways, that was my first love in preservation. But no, I hear what you're saying. So, what do you say to sellers at this time of the year then, as far as because I hear the same tropes every single time that you do. I'm sure.
Going to wait till spring, right? Don't want to list it now.
Right.
Well, I mean, there's some logic in that, given that it's 5 degrees outside. And there's a half a foot of snow on the ground.
Sure.
But The problem is the advice I give to sellers is the same as I give to buyers, which is don't try to time the market.
Yeah.
Make your move when it's time for you to make the move. So is spring a better time to sell a house? I don't know that that's true. We do see more activity in the spring, but guess what you also have in the spring is more competition, right? And so right now, there are buyers out there looking to buy, and there's nothing on the market.
Right.
We've been in a perpetual low inventory environment now for years. And so the great house in the great neighborhood that hits the market today, it has all the attention, right? It's got all the oxygen in the room because there's nothing else to go look at.
Right.
And so it's a great time to sell a house.
Yeah, and we've said before, and we've pulled this up, and I don't have my sheets in front, but we've done percentage, list price versus sales price, and we do a annual average, which hovers typically around 93 to 94%.
Yep.
So you can expect in 2025, if everything holds true and stays the standard, if you list your house for $100,000, it's going to sell for 93 to 94 on average.
On average, sure.
Now, depending if it's whatever, but as a monthly average, that actually does change. Do you know the highest percentage list price versus sales price during the month? So, like, what month does the best?
Tell us, Johnny.
December.
Right.
And why would that be? Especially with the snow on the ground and Christmas season and everything else. You hit the nail on the head. The lack of supply predicates, like, there's more buyers. I guess the buying volume does stop. Like, most buyers kind of put their search on hold, too, until the spring. It's kind of like, we call it seasonal. But there are still more buyers than there are sellers.
Yes, there are.
So a lot of times you see the highest percentage of your list versus sales price in the colder months. Yep. So that argument that has been made over and over again, until someone can show me and disprove that, and this is like, we can pull this up year after year.
We've seen this. We've been at this a long time now.
Right.
So
until that changes, I'm
ain't nobody disproving it to me.
No. Unless something significantly happens where that does. But yeah, and it's never been. Every single year, it's a steady trend that you can depend on.
That's exactly right. And so for sellers, the other point to make is that there are buyers out there right now, and your perfect buyer might be in the market right now in January, and so they're going to find a house. So if you decide to wait till March or April to list your house, that perfect buyer, and by perfect buyer I mean someone who, maybe your home is just what they're looking for, and maybe they're willing to pay full price for you. Well, if you miss that buyer, you may be dealing with more buyers, but none of them may be as perfect as the one who bought a house while you were waiting it out.
Yeah, it's all subjective. But I've always, not even just the buyer, which is a great point, by the way, but I would rather throw it out there with less sellers. Because
absolutely.
That's the whole point of the game. If there's only one house that's active right now and there's 10 buyers, rather than, okay, you might have 30 buyers, but you now have 10 listings, do the math. It's 10 to 1 versus 30 to 10.
100%. And I can guarantee you one thing. If you're going to wait till spring to sell your house because you think it might not sell between now and then, one way to guarantee it won't sell is don't put it on the market.
Yeah.
So I can promise you, if you don't list it, it's not going to sell. If you list it, it might. And you might end up getting more for it now than you will in March.
Right. So, yeah, and, as far as some funny winter stories, I just had a showing not too long ago where it was actually a couple weeks ago where one of my buyers ends up getting stuck. And we had to wait for AAA to get the tow truck, and I was out there just making sure they got off the hill okay. But I've done it. I've been stuck last year. I know that you have some funny driving stories as well, but just I guess cautionary tale, get some good tires. You taught me that.
Snow tires is where it's at,
tires.
And I am all in on the snow tires.
Yeah.
Luckily, my car with snow tires is pretty much a tank at this point, so I'm pretty unstoppable. But no, the winter stories are epic. I'm glad we didn't have as many doorbell cameras 10 years ago as we do now.
Yeah.
Because you would have, I guarantee I'd have gone viral with some of my skating moves going down the front steps on solid ice. Yep. It happens. I showed one yesterday, as a matter of fact. It was a bit of a fixer-upper. And, doing my normal routine, wake up, go to the gym, get to the office, forgot to take a coat, right? So here I am yesterday. It's 15 degrees outside, and I'm not wearing a coat. Oh, no problem. I'll get there. It'll have heat, right?
Nope.
Unless it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so then I find myself hanging out in his house doing a showing with no coat on, and it's 15 degrees outside. So yeah, it's always an adventure.
Well, and just we've all done silly things. As far as I got stuck in a fishbowl last year, I will never have that happen again. My battery was almost dead, and it was a terrible experience. And luckily, some good citizen took me in, and I was standing in the stranger's house for like 2 hours watching the Chiefs game. But no, just cautionary tales. If you're a homeowner, if you have your property listed, maintain the sidewalks a little bit. We don't want to see.
Speaking of which, and we don't typically promote individual listings on the podcast,
right?
But I'm going to do that right now because I've got a home listed in Elm Grove at 80 Fernwood Avenue.
Right.
that has the feature that everybody wants right now.
Yeah.
The one feature that everyone out there wants. I guarantee you want it. You probably don't have it. I got it for sale under $200K in Elm Grove. You know what that feature is?
I do.
What is it?
It's a heated driveway.
It's a heated driveway. You flip a switch, and your driveway is totally melted.
Never have you needed something so badly until you have just received it.
And so
you'll never live without it.
How in the world is anybody listening to this not bringing me an offer right now?
Right. And I bet you if you go to Elm Grove, if you go to the, you said the address, but I bet you if you didn't say the address.
You can figure out which one it is.
Yeah,
it's the one with the perfectly clean driveway.
There's not even
you didn't
salt.
have to lift a finger for it. It's unbelievable.
Right.
It also has heated gutters, which is nice. But the driveway, man, that's where it's at.
Right.
So Denny, an agent on our team, also my fiance, had a situation yesterday, or a couple days ago, where she had her daughter's car parked in her driveway. Mm-hmm. It was sliding down.
It was parked?
Yeah, it was parked, and there was so much ice it started sliding down the driveway. She calls me, she's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So what you do is you go by the house at 80 Fernwood Avenue.
Right.
Hit me up. I'll show it to you anytime you want to see it. Because it's got the heated driveway.
Yeah, gravity exists. That's,
Gravity is not our friend sometimes.
Yeah, not in the icy conditions. So no, that is awesome and good plug. And it's certainly
For sure.
So yeah, if anybody that's actively looking to buy that should hit every single type of financing from first time buyer to conventional.
Oh,
to everything.
it's a sale right there. It's a beautiful house. So
Right.
again, we're not typically promoting listings on this podcast, but this one deserves on a day when, what is it right now?
Honorable mention.
My phone says 14 degrees. It feels colder than that to me.
I might just go lay on the driveway. Just to go hug it.
I did an open house there on Sunday. I checked it out. It was fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. So anyways, what are your expectations then for your own goal set for 2025? And I'll share with mine.
So you know me. I'm the eternal optimist, and I believe every year is going to be better than the last. I think things are cruising right along. The market is primed. We're getting our first winter in a long time, which is cool. I kind of enjoy it a little bit.
Right. Did it even snow last year?
I don't think it did.
Gravity for the fiduciary. Yes, Jimmy. 9.8 meters per second squared is the going rate.
Yes,
So.
and we can prove that.
Oh, I forgot to change the head. Jimmy, thanks for the like.
We still have the Die Hard.
Yeah, and it is a
sound
Christmas
effects.
movie. I'm not giving up. We'll bring that back.
Well, Bruce Willis disagrees, but that's fine.
Anyways, your goal set for 2025, the eternal optimist.
We're ready to rock and roll. Actually, today put out 300 mailings, or put together 300 mailings.
I was here.
Going out to a specific subdivisions. We've got buyers we're talking to. We've got sellers we're talking to. We are primed for a massive year. I believe 2025 is going to be our best year ever.
Right, and there's no reason not to speculate or to have that type of optimism, especially, my goal here is to push this podcast again even further. If you could see the sub goal, actually, I don't know where the sub goal went. It says bad gateway, but we are at 292 subscriptions. We only wanted to be at 200 by Christmas, and we shattered that. I mean, that was insane.
We're going to shatter that way beyond that. We're going to blow this thing up.
Well, we're going to the thousands and tens of thousands, and then like Charlie had said, we're coming for you, Joe. We're coming for you, Joe Rogan, taking dethrone the king.
He's going to be calling us to be a guest on our show. Yeah. That's going to happen. That's where we're headed.
But cautious optimism that we want to be more prominent. The market from where we sit. This has never been a political podcast, but there's cautious optimism as far as the upcoming administration, if things return to how they were. Certainly, I think our market thrived a little bit better under some of that guidance. But again, I'm not making a political
Easy
phrase.
now.
I know before
Easy
someone comes
now.
and shoots me here. But no, I just again, interest rates. I don't know.
So what you're saying is we are about to make real estate great again.
Right, I think so. It's the tried and true methods as far as the Ohio Valley is concerned. There's never been a lack of. Geez, I have to keep shutting my phone off here. That's the third phone call that I got as we're live. So more listings coming up, more excitement as far as we're going to be changing studios here soon. We're going to be this is going to be moved to a different wing of the office, and it's going to be new segments are coming in.
Yep.
We're even thinking of franchising this to now. It's going to be the Shut the Front Door Network.
Yeah.
So
big plans in the future.
Right.
So, awesome. So give us that like, give us that subscribe. Those mean the world to us. Find us on Spotify. I'm doing your part right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Find us on Spotify.
Yeah. Even now on Pandora. We're on Pandora.
Are we on Pandora now? That's
Pandora
awesome.
Now.
Yeah, so Johnny does all the heavy lifting on this thing.
Well,
and
you
does a great job. I do the editing. It takes 5 seconds. So I'll a shameless plug, though. I'll tell you, as we look at these numbers, the one thing that we're always missing is inventory. We've got the buyers.
Right.
We've got the people. They can get the financing. We need stuff to sell. So if you're thinking about listing, hit us up. We got your buyer almost guaranteed. That's going to be the theme for this year. Bring it to us. Let us sell it for you. Let us get us more money than you can get anywhere else.
Right. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Absolutely.
Right. Any other words you want to impart before we
Nope. Let's go.
All right, guys. Well, we are trying to do this, every Wednesday still, or same Wednesday, usually Wednesday morning. Sometimes we get a little bit behind track, but follow us on, again, social media. We'll be here live Wednesday mornings, afternoon. And,
Yep.
yeah, thanks again for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Rock and roll.